for all the flack that fans had given him, he's a player you want because he's a leader. He can score. He can defend. Um, Maybe he's not the best out there at it, but he can, and he brings some nice leadership. He's been here for a long time. Like when he
Longest serving
was
Ottawa Senator right now.
exactly like when he was drafted, David Legwand was on the Sens, right?
Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Let's head into the final segment for what we have to say here tonight on Game Over. And that is, I don't want to talk about Thomas Chabot today. So like not the worst not the best, not the worst performance for Thomas Chabot. He's kind of a veteran at this point. I think we forget that Chabot's gonna be 28 in like 3 months. So like he's not a young defenseman anymore. He's established in this league. From your assessment now that we have a new coach in Travis Green, what is Thomas Chabot at this point of his career for you?
Look, I think I rate Thomas Chabot a lot more than most Sens fans at this point. I thought he was good tonight. I think he has been good for the most part of this season. Again, Thomas Chabot's not somebody you're going to get excellent defensive shutdown play from, but Travis Green has him, on that second power play role. He's got him penalty killing a lot more now, and I think Thomas Chabot generally has been really fine this season. You can sit here and maybe debate the price tag at this point, the $8 million that he's being paid. Is he providing $8 million of value on the ice? No. But yeah, again, you need players like Thomas Chabot to help drive the offense at 5v5 if you're going to be a good hockey team. Simple as. That's really it. Thomas Chabot does that well. He does drive the offense. He pushes the puck up the ice even better than Jake Sanderson does. I know some people don't want to believe that, but he does. Thomas Chabot's a better offensive defenseman than Jake Sanderson still is at this point. Jake Sanderson is the better overall defenseman, absolutely. But Thomas Chabot, what he brings is, puck skills that nobody else on that blue line currently brings. It's even more apparent now that they don't have a puck mover on the left side like Eric Brandstrom. So I think, Chabot for the better part of this year, the defensive issues are still there. They're always going to be there with Thomas Chabot. But, as him and Jensen sort of still try to figure each other out, I'm still willing to give it some time here in the early going, but I've still been generally okay with what I've seen from Chabot. And you see tonight, even the first like really great game from Nick Jensen. And, I don't think Nick Jensen can sort of jump up and play the way he did tonight if he doesn't have a partner as sort of solid as Thomas Chabot is. So Thomas Chabot, still a really good top four defenseman, still a top four defenseman to me that any team in the NHL would want. That's pretty much how I see it.
Nick Jensen outscoring Thomas Chabot right now. Jensen's got 4 points on the season. Chabot's got three. But yeah, like I think it was his game against Montreal. A lot of people were really hard on him because, of course, there was a lot of eyes around the entire country on that game. It was game two of the NHL season and the first Saturday as well on Hockey Night in Canada. And he had a tough game. And then ever since, it seems like he's picked it back up a little bit. Chabot, like I don't think I remember mentioning like early in the season that he is the X factor for this team. But now that I think that Sanderson has reached that next step a little bit, do I think he's going to be an over point per game defenseman? No. But Chabot can kind of just settle in and be a good like two-way guy. And that's it. Play 21 minutes a night. I know he's playing more right now just because of her injuries, but play 21 minutes a night, be a 50-point defenseman, work on your defensive game. I don't think it's as bad as other people think for Chabot. And just be a good leader back there. Like you have Sanderson locked up. You don't need to worry about Chabot playing 23, 24 minutes a night. Thank God, because we had so many years of that with this player, and it maybe it burnt him out a little bit. And he even admitted earlier in I think September at the golf tournament foundation that the Sens always have to kick off the year. And he was talking about how he just didn't feel healthy for the past 2 seasons. And like he hasn't been healthy really whatsoever in the past like 4 seasons, really. I think he played most of the games in the bubble year, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think this player has played over 60, 65 games ever since then. And that's a quality player you need in your lineup for all the flack that fans had given him. He's a player you want because he's a leader. He can score, he can defend. Um, Maybe he's not the best out there at it, but he can, and he brings some nice leadership. He's been here for a long time. Like when he
Longest serving
was
Ottawa Senator right now.
exactly like when he was drafted, David Legwand was on the Sens, right? So that gives you a little bit of perspective. Like this guy's been here a long time, and I think we need to keep him. And I don't want to hear any like the trade Chabot. Like it's not going to
He's not
happen.
going anywhere. If he was going anywhere, Jacob Chikrin would still be on the Ottawa Senators. Thomas Chabot's not going anywhere. Like that's, you know, whether that's a Steve Staios wants to keep him for some of the reasons you said, the leadership, the fact that he's been here. You know, Steve Staios probably knows that he's pretty solid. I don't doubt that some of the Sens internal data guys, Sean Tierney, whoever else is in there, you know, sort of evaluating players. I have no doubt that some of these other guys in the organization see the value that Chabot brings, and that's why he's still here. Because quite frankly, like I said, Jacob Chikrin would still be an Ottawa Senator, and Thomas Chabot would be playing elsewhere if they didn't feel that, if they didn't like what Chabot was bringing to this team still.
I think it's important to temper the expectations a little bit. Just take the salary out of it, and you have a good, solid second pair defenseman in there. So I'm just looking at his stats right here. Um, the most amount of games he's ever played in his single career is 71. Now, that was actually the year right before COVID hit, and that he played all the games that year. And then you have 49 in 2021. You have 59 in 2022. You have 68 in 2023, and you have 51 last year, right? And Chabot was actually like, I think he was pretty solid last year.
Yeah, he was much better after the coaching change.
Yeah. Um, and there was a big difference there for sure. Like I think this is just a solid like number two, number three defenseman. I would say number two defenseman, a solid number two or three defenseman. Um, and I just want to be healthy too, right? Because the one thing, if you restrict the minutes back, it kills the chances of maybe him getting injured down the line because he's played so many minutes in the past. We've always just seen this like in past years with the Sens where he'll just randomly like it'll just be a freak play and he'll get injured and he'll be out like a month or two. And we need him on the back end, right? And especially now where if there's one injury that happens, I mean, I know Artem Zub's out of the lineup right now, but if there's one injury that could maybe derail their season because their depth on D, while they're getting by right now, I would be okay with them adding another defenseman there too.
I think we all would, yeah.